Hi everyone! Welcome to my sandcastle! Today I have a fairly unusual video to add to my coziness content, but I wanted to talk a little bit more about 3 turn-based games I recently tried out. I just felt so compelled to share my experience and thoughts with everyone in case there are any of you feeling the same way that I did about these kinds of games. I'll also be giving a brief overview to properly recommend these games to you all, so sit back, relax, and let me tell you why I used to be a turn-based hater. So, I had this preconceived notion about turn-based games that they were all super hard, make you want to pull your hair out, and just not fun at all. I figured they were going to be for a specific type of gamer, and I was okay assuming that that gamer was not me. All the while, never having played one before. Pretty extreme, right? So in my effort to become an overall better human being, I decided to take on a few recommendations from my good friend and editor, Shiny Trophy. I'll link to his channel down below. The 3 games that Shiny recommended were Divinity 2, Honkai Star Rail, and XCOM 2. I think it took a solid few months of him persistently convincing me that my assumption about turn-based games was wrong and I just needed to give them a try. And let's just say I've been telling him that he's right more than I'd like. So I'd like to take a moment to tell you how I fell in love with each one of these games that he recommended, and if you happen to be on the fence about playing them, why you should give them a try too. First up is Divinity 2. So Shiny recommended this game as this is a D&D style game that you can play with up to 3 other friends, or solo if you wish. I am currently playing through Divinity 2 with Shiny, Fox, and Isaiah. For schedule reasons, we all have been playing this game on the weekends for what feels like a month or more, maybe decades, and it feels like we've made 2% progress. I love Divinity because it's so rich in dialogue, combat, and just tons of stuff you can do. My favorite thing is to pickpocket. Shiny calls it being in somebody's cheeks. I will not back down, it is my favorite thing. We always end up getting sidetracked and also dying. Anybody got any res scrolls? You start out the game feeling pretty weak, but you can only go up from there. When you finally get your hands on new skills, it just makes the combat that much more enjoyable, and I find myself anxiously waiting for my turn so I can put an arrow in somebody's neck. Or, with my luck, I usually end up missing because even though it says 95% chance to hit, it really means that 5% will most definitely kick in and I will miss my shot. Divinity is also one of those games where, although you can play the entire game solo, I would recommend playing it with friends. I am such a co-op warrior, I just feel like games are so much more fun with friends. I fell in love with this game because of the ability to play with my friends and have a good time strategically missing my arrows. If all of this sounds fun, then Divinity 2 would be a good start for you. Next on my list is Honkai Star Rail. Shiny recommended this game because he knew I played and enjoyed Genshin Impact. It's by the same developers, Hoyoverse. I immediately was like, turn-based games are your jam, not mine? Needless to say, I'm sure he has some incriminating evidence somewhere in our Discord. Upon playing Honkai Star Rail, it immediately felt more beginner-friendly to me. Unlike the other 2 games on my list, there is no penalty to dying. No real penalty, at least. You restart the fight and keep on trucking until you reach success. I really do enjoy the characters in this game. I feel like Bailu has to be my favorite since she can res people. A big plus is that if you're a fan of Genshin Impact, The systems and art style are almost the same, so the fundamentals are easy to grasp. Even if you're not familiar with Genshin Impact or any of the games by Hoyoverse, they have an extensive tutorial system that will catch you up to speed in no time. One of my favorite things about Honkai is that it's farming friendly. Since this game can get a little grindy, there is an auto battle mode where your characters will fight the good fight without any input from you. I know this may sound like it defeats the purpose, but not all fights will have that auto battle option. I fell in love with this game simply because of its beginner friendliness and the fact that you can take it at your own pace. So if that's something that you really like, then I would definitely recommend Honkai Star Rail. Last on my list is XCOM, and whew, I have a lot to say about this one, but I'll try to keep it short and sweet. So Shiny recommended this game because it was the ultimate turn-based game. The tough, meaty, strategic, pull your hair out game that I have been afraid of all along. And boy, does it live up to that reputation, but with a twist. XCOM felt like hands down the hardest game on my list, but I felt such a thrill when I got through missions with all of my people alive. Of course, that may or may not have taken me a few missions because I immediately got some people killed. Pour several shots out for the homies. Everything in this game is time-based. There are 4 story missions and the overhanging avatar project that makes me just want to explode the whole map. I understand why there are 4 story missions. You could just forever gather supplies and make your team super OP if they didn't happen. This was honestly very daunting to me starting out, but I'm slowly starting to get the hang of everything. I also really like that you can fully customize your soldiers. I mean fully customize. I made my main 5 characters after my friends, which makes me take the game a little bit more seriously. With that being said, getting through the missions with all my friends alive brought me some kind of pride and enjoyment that I don't really think I've experienced in a video game before. I would be so happy that I used enough strategery to evac my friends alive, albeit gravely injured and in dire need of a therapist. This game to me is all about learning the basics of combat and positioning. Positioning is a huge factor. And then learning your classes. Once you have those down, this game becomes that much easier. In theory, of course, because that guy got shot in the toe and needs at least 20 days in the hospital. I fell in love with this game because it actually required more thought and effort into what I was doing, and I felt accomplished when I was able to complete missions. If you prefer a game that's not beginner friendly at all, I mean at all, and requires a heavy tactical approach, then XCOM 2 is definitely for you. And well, that's the list. Going forward, I don't want to swear off games without even trying them first. This goes with the main point I want to get across. Don't ever be afraid to try out a video game because of your assumption of it. Give it a try and you might pleasantly be surprised. I know I was, and now look, addicted. Shiny actually has a really good video going over this very point I want to make. It's all about the way that we review games and how it doesn't work. I'll have a link to that in the description box as well. If you have watched to the end, I appreciate you. Please let me know if you have any turn-based game suggestions for me down in the comments. Now that I'm a fan and no longer a hater, I definitely want to try them all out. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a cozy day. Bye!